Hello and welcome to your 2018 Sagittarius Great Mother Speaks full moon reading. This year it is on May 29th. Great Mother speaks to those of us who are experiencing mama drama trauma. This deck and these readings are specifically designed to offer clarity, balance, and confirmation to those of us consistently and persistently experiencing abandonment or abuse from the mother or maternal figures that impact our lives today. This person could have abandoned us in childhood or could abandon us in adulthood through addictions or through death. This is not about blame or shame. This is about identifying how we feel as a distinct human being from the issues, unhealed issues, traumas imposed upon us in childhood. I am Tammy Taylor, an inner work life coach specializing in mama drama trauma condition, in which the mother projects unhealed aspects of herself onto her child, causing emotional and or physical trauma. Now, in cases where the mother is unable, unwilling, or unavailable to heal, loving detachment is required. So we talk about that in the readings. We deal with mothers oftentimes who change like the phases of the moon, and so it's difficult for us to distinguish how we feel from our mothers. And so these lunar readings are designed to cultivate, to nurture, and to actually grow and evolve the space within us to have the ability to do that for ourselves. We look at the sidereal, the soul sign. So the sidereal moon sign, this full moon is in Scorpio, in the nakshatra of Anudra, that vivacious, creative, caring, stellar mansion in the sky that the moon will be in as it is reflecting the light of the sun in Taurus in the nakshatra, the beautiful, enhancing, gracious Rohini, this composure riddled, compassionate, devoted, noble energy of the sun. So we look at the soul astrology, the sidereal, to ascertain that soul space. So if you are Sagittarius, that means that more than likely your sidereal sign is in Scorpio, making this your first house, and also your halfway mark of your lunar new year. Be sure to check out in the playlist your lunar new year readings if that hasn't happened for you yet. Stay tuned, because every new moon marks the lunar new year for your new moon sign. So the Taurus lunar new year readings have just been posted, and the Geminis will be coming up. Of course, that is Taurus Gemini with the Taurus in the sidereal. Now, these are posted according to your Western. If you're new with us, want to be sure that you understand that the full moon in terms of Great Mother is really focusing on really paying attention to what those new moon intentions were that you set. We've been doing some readings that focused on those new moon wishes. Great Mother offered 5. It suggested that 10 be a maximum. Want to do some research on that? Go to greatmotherspeaks.info/vlog to see what those suggested new moons readings have been for the last 2 months. We're going to kind of move away from that. As you practice on your own, you gain your own rhythm, you gain your own stance of understanding how that energy works. These readings will make a lot more sense to and for you. With this full moon, we're really looking at the cleansing, purification aspect of what has come forward as a result of your new moon intentions. And so again, you might want to check out what those suggested ones were if you did not set them by Great Mother, and to see what is coming up in your internal life at this particular time as this full moon in Scorpio Sagittarius purifies, cleanses, and really tests the mutual feelings that you have. Now, mutual feelings have to do with, of course, our personal and professional relationships. With the moon reflecting the sun, it's always on the opposing sign that we find that solar energy. So the sun now is in that Taurus and the sidereal Gemini in the Western. So your moon sign attraction will naturally be to someone with that Taurus, Gemini, Sidereal, Western axes. Of course, the Western astrology has to do with our emotional ego energy. Western astrology is an earth-centric astrology, and we do the reading from that place to have a conscious hit from what Great Mother is saying from that deeper space, and you find what resonates best with you. So, with no further ado, here are your May full moon readings from Great Mother Speaks. Okay, so Scorpio, Sagittarius moon people, let's take a look at what that loving detachment may look like for you in your maternal relationship or relationships, you in that role or someone else playing that role in your life, needing to have some detachment from the trauma, or perhaps even as a result of that experience, maybe feeling like another personal or professional relationship is impacted by this MDT experience. And this full moon in Sagittarius in your first lunar house, what we're talking about is your halfway mark of your lunar new year. Your actual lunar new year will be when Scorpio is the new moon in November. And so as you move forward for the second half of your year, I want you to pay attention to how this new place that you're in at this particular time is different from what it was this past November. I want you to just take a moment and think about where you are now, the end of May 2018, compared to where you were mid-November, before Thanksgiving of last year. Where were you? Where were you in your life, comparatively speaking? Because the Lunar New Year is the reverse. It goes from new moon back to balsamic moon. Okay, it goes back to that waning crescent and third quarter full moon now to the first quarter back to the crescent moon, waxing crescent, new moon in November. So in other words, this reading being your halfway mark is bringing forward what you have learned, what your main message from Great Mother has been to you up to this point of your lunar year, of your internal space, of you being able to identify what those frequent feelings and emotions have been for you as it relates to mama drama trauma. What have been the things that you have become most aware of in your life that either have intensified or through your own consciousness you've shifted? What is that? Because you are about to actually expand that awareness. And from the lunar perspective of your lunar new year, it goes into expansion from the full moon. It doesn't recede. Okay, from the monthly readings where it recedes from the full moon with this individual full moon reading, it will recede into a waning moon. With your lunar new year, it's the opposite. Okay, it starts with your new year, and the next time the moon is in Sagittarius in that December, it's back in balsamic phase. So right now, you want to pay attention to that, because whatever those awarenesses are, they're going to grow. It's showing here that you are approaching this full moon, Scorpio, Sagittarius moon people, with a feeling of being in your own skin. You are very clear about what those awarenesses are. You have been doing internal work, as we see with the two yin symbols and the single yang, meaning that you are doubly taking in what that inner awareness is, that inner information is, and you're releasing what no longer serves that awareness. So as the sun is shining in this soul sign of Taurus in the Vedic, in Rohini, it's showing you the beauty. It's showing you the composure, the compassionate devotion that you have had to this awareness. It's showing you that inner awareness, that soul awareness. And it is reflecting that in that Scorpion soul sign of the Sidereal in the nakshatra of Anudra, with a vivacious creativity, a very caring type of energy is operating with the full moon in your soul sidereal sign. Again, you want to check the links below. You may also be Sagittarius in your sidereal as well, and to check to see which message most resonates with you. But Sagittarius moon people, generally in the Western, you are very clear about who and where you are internally at this time in your life. You are clear about how you are in the world, how you are identifying yourself in the world. And you are really getting a lot of clarity about how others may see you're manifesting this awareness in the world. And so there's a yin yang going on with this first seventh house energy, first house energy with this Sagittarius, Scorpio, Sagittarius moon sign. And of course, the sun is in your seventh house, shining a light from your relationships with other people onto what's going on with you internally. The inner wisdom is really what is happening for you, and there is such an insight that you've been gaining, especially since the last new moon. Since the new moon on the 15th of this month, you have been really asking yourself, how do I need to move forward? Where do I need to go now that I'm clear with myself? And those new moon wishes, for those of you who work with your intentions, were very powerful. They have already been quite fruitful, and many of you are experiencing some confirmations about new moon wishes that you've made in the past, about where you would like to be internally, how you would have liked to have felt internally. Those things are coming into fruition. And it's about feeling a lot more assertiveness, a lot more clarity about the abandonment and the abuse issues that you've been dealing with. You have perhaps gotten to see on an internal level how this came about. You are developing a little bit more compassion, really not just kind of the survival codependency, but more a compassion toward your mother, toward your maternal figures, toward yourself as a mother, as it relates to the tools that you were given, or the tools that she was given. There's a real clearness that's coming up about that, and a real appreciation for what she was able to do or is able to do with what she has been given. Yet there is a real recognition that you've earned this awareness due to your efforts at communication. You've earned this awareness due to your determination to understand. And so this awareness has brought due boundaries that were due you in order to facilitate this understanding. And so the loving detachment for you, Scorpio, Sagittarius moon people, has had to do with you trusting your inner wisdom enough to take you places that you necessarily did not want to go, but that you knew that you had to go in order for those prayers that were said around November last year, be they conscious or unconscious prayers. You know, sometimes we have unconscious prayers, and maybe it was around the holidays. You know, the stresses get up during that time, and that's your lunar new year. And so for you in particular, things really kind of come to Jesus moment for you. And maybe at that time, Scorpio, Sagittarius moon people, you are really taking the time to assess where you want it to be, the reality, acknowledging the situation that, hey, we're all in this together. We all inherited this condition, but what can I do now? We're going to have another disastrous holiday season, or I'm going to shift the way I approach it. Some of you actually engaged loving detachment at that time and decided that you were not participating in family events. You drew a line in the sand. And so new moons, many moons have passed since this new moon in May the 15th. And from that new moon in November, which was your lunar new year, the new moon in Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius new moon, of course, is in December, but that Scorpio energy and the Sidereal is also at that particular time. And so I think I said November. I apologize for that. You are definitely December new moon. And from that new moon period, you have been planting these seeds for clarity. You've been planting these seeds to go along a path that would show you the light. The new moon, there is no light. It's dark outside. You don't know where you're going. You're asking the direction to go. You're wanting to open and follow your heart, but you're having to trust your gut in the physical world, the emotional world, this earthly existence to guide you. And you somehow, that you don't even understand, have been able to develop and to cultivate the boundaries that you've needed to facilitate this new awareness that you have of who you are right now. And you're really standing in that with this Sagittarius full moon. What may still be in the shadows for you is that because this has been such a mystery and it has operated under the law of divine order, there's no formula, Sagittarius moon people. There's no rhyme or reason to it. And you may be still looking for that. And Great Mother's coming through with a lot of confirmation, third eye confirmation, heart chakra, Sophia card, inner wisdom confirmation, acknowledgement confirmation. She's saying that with this root chakra energy here as well, with acknowledge, regrounding you, root chakra here with the yang symbol. We had single yang here, but we have yang again. You've acted upon your intuition. And so when we do that, there is no rhyme or reason. It's just that you are receiving the downloads from that Scorpio. And right now that Scorpio is in Anudra. That stellar mansion that is energetically very creative, caring, and vivacious. It is an energy that is going to allow you, this full moon, to just relax and knowing that that's enough. Following your intuition is enough. You don't have to figure it out, in other words. It's not the kind of yang energy of mentally figuring it out, because as we see, we have heart above chakra energy here that's opening the reading. We have third eye, we have heart chakra, and the root chakra is indicating that you're probably wanting to ground this new way of being, this, so to speak, since December, your new moon, you are reflecting and you are realizing these changes have happened, and you are happy that you've established these boundaries, and you're kind of trying to figure out, okay, so how do I formulate this so that I can move forward, and how do I enact this in my life as a routine? And Great Mother's coming through, and she's saying in the shadows is the fact that all you've done is all that you ever need to do, Sagittarius moon people. And that is actively follow in your internal space what your intuitional downloads are. There won't be a formula because life is ever changing, and the divine order is something that will shift with that. And there is no formula for that other than the simplicity of ego soul communication, which is what Great Mother speaks to. And so she's saying here with the only full moon card in your reading, Ishtar, that what you are dancing with is this idea of wanting to satisfy that part of yourself that is wanting some formulaic explanation, and knowing what you know, which is that there isn't. And for you, that feels, we have the Ankh here, the breath of life representing the second chakra, it feels like something that you don't want. It's not desirable to you to have to kind of acquiesce once again to this higher wisdom. And it may be something, depending on your North Node, your Rahu, which we could explore in a personal reading. You know, I always say the South Node and K2 is what drives us to drink. It's what drives us to addictions. It's what drives us to want to control, because it's our holding pattern. It's what our soul has done many lifetimes, and we're familiar with it. And although I cannot tell what your South Node is with a general moon sign reading, what this reading would indicate is that for many of you watching, there is a tendency, be it through your South Node or K2, to want to have a formula for your spirituality. Sagittarius is ninth house energy, the higher wisdom, the guru. And the guru does teach the student. And maybe you've had lifetimes like that where there was an order. And of course, I can relate to that as an inner work life coach. And there are lifetimes, and this is one for me, where there are patterns, there are signs and symbols that you have that you lay out so that you can share the occult, the unseen, the unknown, the unknowable with people as best as we can in the language that we have. But then there are other lifetimes or situations. This may just be a period of phase of your life at this particular time, this Sagittarius full moon for you, Sagittarius moon sign people, that Great Mother saying that you're dancing with that need to sell yourself out to your default, as opposed to trusting what has been working for you as you look back. You know, the old spiritual says, sometimes I look back and I wonder how I made it over. And as I invited you to do at the beginning of the reading, to just reflect on what it's been like for you since November, December, the holiday seasons is really what I'm trying to say. Your new moon is in December, but that holiday season keeps coming through from Great Mother for me to really ask you to kind of go back to, because some of you it might be a little earlier. Again, for some of you, you may be Sagittarius in the Sidereal as well. Now, what needs to be released in order for you to release the tendency to sell out this new way, now that you look back, of identifying yourself and connecting with others, is to surrender. Just surrender to what you know is working for you, trusting that intuition and acting on it. I know it's scary. I know more than half the time it doesn't make any sense. It can be very intimidating. You don't know what the outcome is going to be. And that is not to punish us. It is to cultivate and develop the muscular framework and infrastructure necessary to carry what we are praying we can carry. We're praying to be able to maintain healthy boundaries with others in our lives. We're praying to be able to identify true love and mutual feelings in our lives. What is that Taurus Gemini energy that I really need in my life? And we know that because that's the opposing moon sign to Scorpio Sagittarius, where the sun is, Taurus Gemini. Now will be a good time for you to surrender to the energies that are present, to really identify who those people are that can support you in your silent prayers, who love you just as you are, with your default mechanism and all. And so this is going to help you to release the default mechanism, so that, you know, a lot of times when we want to release something or we want to cultivate a new behavior, we kind of poo-poo on the old behavior. And it's not about that. It's not about poo-pooing on the South Node, K2 or anything. It's not about saying, okay, so this is so terrible, you know, cleaning out throwing out the baby with the bathwater. What this is about being clear about who you are today as opposed to who you were yesterday. and you've developed some boundaries, or some of you are needing to cultivate boundaries. Some of you have received the intuition that you need to do it, but you haven't done it yet because you haven't surrendered to your intuition. And so that's what this means for some of you. But for those of you who have and who are operating from this active space of trusting that intuitive wisdom, Great Mother's encouraging further surrender to that, further trust to that, further heart chakra energy, that crossroads between the ego and the soul, that ego-soul communication. What's going to facilitate that is your trust in your own ability to create the life that you want. We have the sound of our mothers and those who have acted as our mothers in our ear all the time, and that is what is referred to as conditioning, and that is something that we have to rework and reprogram on our own. That's what this deck is about. That's what the readings are about. That's what our weekly MDT support group is about. Those of you who have parents who are addict, I do highly encourage you go to Adult Children of Alcoholics meetings to really support you. Even the people that I work with in my practice, it is not enough. I always encourage that you have the strength, you have the ability, you have the capability to heal from that programming and to reprogram it yourself. It just requires an acceptance and an acknowledgement that you are deserving of it, that we all go through this at one time or another. That's why people aren't very open to listening to it or talking about it, because everybody relates to it on one level or another. The question is, what's the severity of it? And no one ever knows, because no one ever goes the next step to find out. The next step in acknowledgement is trusting the one God, one law, which is that we all go through it. And for your personal journey of loving development, Sagittarius Moon people, the next step for you is self-creation. And to self-create, we have to know what it is, what substance we're working with. What are we made of? And that is where you will want to know what the severity of your MDT is. So click the link below. Join us on those support groups. Memorial Day weekend, of course, this full moon, we're not having it because it's normally on Sunday and Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But join us and see where you are in that continuum between the aggressive mama drama trauma and the people-pleasing mama drama trauma, and try to find where you are with regard to that, which is the continuum of these readings as well. Some of us are a little bit more aggressive in terms of how we approach our emotional space, and we go for it gung-ho, and some of us are more people-pleasing, and so we kind of hold back on trusting our intuition because it may make others feel uncomfortable. And full moon readings are very useful to make this point because they are mirror readings in terms of the other. Your outcome card is Crossroads, Hecate. Crossroads has to do with your birthright being your birthright and will never be taken away. So as it relates to this reading for you, Sagittarius Moon people, your intuition is your guide, your internal roadmap. You always know it because it is the still small voice of Great Mother, which is always kind, nurturing, compassionate. It's very subtle as well. It's never hard or harsh. Never. That voice is always from someone else or something else, another experience, perhaps mama drama trauma. Okay, but not Great Mother. And remember, the drama mamas are also variant energies of Great Mother. Again, we all experience these things, including mama drama trauma, in order to perfect us, in order to purify us as souls. And so again, it's not about blame or shame. It's about knowing who we are and getting the clarity, balance, and confirmation that we need in order to work with the supportive energies that are all around us outside of that relationship. Because loving detachment, establishing and maintaining these boundaries, as you now have become quite aware of with the indication of Durga being your center card, Sagittarius Moon people, it does require drawing on resources outside of that maternal relationship, doesn't it? It requires that. And so you already have that with this throat chakra. You have been communicating your wants and your needs. You have been actively wanting to understand and to learn more about the causes of this. And so you will not have any of what you've learned, any of the emotional, intuitive gains that you've made taken away from you, as long as you trust the law of mystery and divine order to continue guiding your actions, just as you are approaching this full moon with the Ankh energy, that third eye, that intuitive energy, double yin energy that you are acting upon in order to be protected, no matter who or what tries to take away your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. Thank you so much for watching your Sagittarius full moon reading, and 6 more months to go for your new moon, but enjoy the illumination that's coming to you as it will continue to expand into your new moon in December. May Great Mother continue to guide and bless you, and remember, she loves you, and I do too.
For more information about Mama Drama Trauma, visit mamadramatrauma.info.